episode. And today we are here with the principal as our guest.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Your honor.
It's my pleasure.
So today, well, we heard that you like a little bit of true crime.
True.
So we thought it'd be a good idea to make a bit of podcast about obviously true crime, and we'll be talking about one person in particular, and then a little debate afterwards.
Okay. Sounds good.
And also, to add a little humor to this podcast about true crime, obviously, actually, a group of crows. What do you think that a group of crows is called?
What is a group of crows called?
I don't
Not.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
A murder.
A murder. Oh, nice. Interesting.
That's really what it's called.
Yes, a murder.
A group of crows?
Good to know.
Right, I learned something new today.
Yes. So, the person that we will be rephrase that. When someone thinks serial killers, they might probably think of obviously Jeffrey Dahmer or other people in horror movies, right?
Correct.
But with this saying, villains aren't born, they are made. That saying is pretty much really important to who we're going to talk about.
Okay.
And I cannot promise I can actually pronounce the person's name correctly, because the person we'll be talking about is, called, full name, is Pedro Alonso Lopez.
Okay.
Also,
He has my first name, so.
our teacher did mention that, but we didn't really want to say anything about that because we don't know how you react.
That's okay.
Also, trigger warning, we'll be talking about some stuff that might not really seem pleasing to some people, because we'll be talking about murders and some other dark stuff.
It's not pleasing to everyone.
I
For the
know,
most part,
people
for the most
do
part.
like true crimes and
I know.
stuff like that.
There's people who like it, and people who don't.
Yes. Wait, do you actually like that kind of stuff?
I normally don't talk about it, but I do read, for example, I'm a news junkie, so I do read the news, I see the news.
It's not straight.
Nah, that's alright. It's as good as a.
You just happened to pick the one that was a bit wonky.
Bit wonky, it's a bit down bridge, whatever. I'll live.
Yes. Alright, so apparently he was born on October 8th, 1948, and then disappeared on sometime in September 1999.
Wow.
The day is actually still unclear. I'll say that.
1999.
Yeah.
In
So, he was given the nickname the Monster of Indus. Can't really pronounce it correctly.
What?
Let me see.
Indus.
The Andes.
Andes.
Yeah.
And Pedro was actually a prolific serial killer and, I would say, predator.
Okay.
Try to actually kind of make this at least school safe, while also explaining what happened as well.
Okay.
And he was a predator who's said to have killed over 300 people, but only 110 of them were actually considered his victims.
Wow.
And most of them were actually young women and girls.
Wow.
Young girls.
Terrible.
And Lopez was actually the seventh of a family out of 13 children.
Big family.
It kind of reminds me of the
That is
movie version of Italians. Italians in movies.
That is a big family.
Yeah. And supposedly his mother was reportedly a prostitute, and his father was murdered before he was born. So that's fun. What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
Wouldn't make sense. You're gonna say that can't be why he became because his father was murdered.
No.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense.
So
It would have been a good.
Pedro said that this made his home life, I guess, difficult
Mm-hmm.
or hard to live, and he was kicked out or banished from his home at the age of 8, and he was caught trying to SA his sister.
Mm. Wow. It's terrible. Probably he had mental issues.
And on the streets, he was abused, and he also joined a gang for protection. So
Right.
that's interesting.
He
And
was kicked out, so he had nowhere to go. So
yes,
kind of.
He probably had to find like a family
Yeah.
outside
yes.
home.
At the age of 12, so all of that was before the age of 12, he was adopted by an American family, but ran away after he was SA'd by his teacher.
Wow.
And then in 1978, Lopez wandered to Peru. He said he killed over 100 people there, mostly children.
So he was from the United States and then he went to Peru, or he was
I
he
remember-
Peruvian?
Did you write this part?
I believe he was from the United States. No,
But he got adopted by you.
no,
Wait,
he
he
wasn't. He was adopted by someone in the United States.
And he was brought to the United States and then he went
Yes.
back to Peru?
I believe so. Not
You get
where
back
he
to
was
it.
born originally was not quite.
Okay.
I was having trouble finding that
Okay.
since it's a really different location.
Okay.
Yes, he has the role of
What's his name again?
Pedro Alonso Lopez. Alright, where is it?
What's his name?
Pedro Alonso
Lopez.
Lopez.
Alright. I can find it. Yep, there we go.
He wandered Peru. He said that he killed over 100 people, mostly children, but this claim was actually unverified.
Hmm.
Then, so later on, he tried kidnapping a 9-year-old.
Hmm.
Not sure if it actually succeeded or not.
Colombia.
He was born in
Oh, he's from Colombia?
Yeah.
Okay. And then from there he went to Peru and did this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I cannot pronounce that.
Where? Oh, I can't pronounce that either. It's an indigenous tribe.
Oh.
It's a tribe.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely can't say that.
And then a
either.
tried to buried him in the
Buried him under
ground
the ground.
alive.
Okay.
That gotta be
He
hard.
was trying to be buried alive.
Yeah. And then when an officer finally came, he convicted them and handed them over. Yeah, pretty much turned them in. But instead of being instead of being gratitude, he was banned from the country. So that's fun. And then later, he then arrived in Ecuador.
Okay.
Was it back then in like 1980s? It was more the dangerous back then in Ecuador.
I think Peru was more dangerous actually than Ecuador at that. I mean, Ecuador's very dangerous today. I don't know about the 1970s or 80s.
Isn't Yeah. And then he arrived in Ecuador and then continued his killing spree there. And then police chalked up the missing person in human trafficking.
Hmm.
And in 1980, Ecuador was hit with a flash flood that dug up the bodies of several girls, leading the police to investigate and literally, or pretty much, found him, arrested him for 16 years after serving his sentence. He was then booked into a mental institution on
Honestly,
August 31st, 1994.
16 years for killing how many people? Over 100?
Correct. Yeah, that's
Shouldn't that really be a life sentence?
correct. Absolutely.
I guess also depends on the where he was arrested.
No, in general, that should still
I
be
mean,
a life sentence.
anyone who commits murder should be arrested for life. I think,
Especially if it's
especially
that
if
many
you,
people.
especially if you're murdering children, and especially if you're murdering 100 people.
True. Then in 1998, he was released on a $70 bail.
Only $70.
Wow.
on 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 condition that he would report to the authorities a lot. And then thing is, he was last seen in September 1999 trying to renew his citizenship card. Then a warrant was put out in 2002, but the thing is, he is still missing to this day.
Yeah, he's probably dead.
Awesome.
Yes.
No, what? I think they said he was 78 or something. And I looked him up. 76.
So he's
Probably dead.
so either he's either dead or just really old.
Mm.
So that's fun.
Yes.
So the saying "villains aren't born, they're made" does actually support what happened. Because pretty much he grew up with a prostitute, and then a prostitute as a mother, and she pretty much abandoned him. Shush.
So I mean, I think a lot of people. Not everyone grows up in a perfect home. I think very few people grow up in a perfect home. First of all, the question: what is a perfect home? Right. I think everybody could have positives and negatives in their house.
Sure.
Right. And not all of us become serial killers.
Yeah.
So, I know people who were born in very, very hostile, or had a hostile upbringing, and they turned around, they went to college, and they were better people. And then there was also a subset of people that, that they will always go back and say, well, I'm this way because when I was 5 years old, this happened to me. Or, so is a villain born or made? I think it's hard to answer that. I think it's up to the person.
Sure.
At the end of the day, I think this is my belief that it's all about choices, and I think that everyone in life has to make a choice.
Sure. So, what do you think of the story? Or the info?
Explain it, but I kind of think he was not made that way. Not even like born that way. As he said, depends on their choices. In fact, although I still understand what led him to do all this in the first place.
Especially the children.
Yeah.
Why children?
Yeah, I do not know why he
So,
picked them.
so it could be a mental disorder, and hence they put him in a mental institution. That still doesn't mean. So I'll give you an example. I was telling you guys that I'm into the news, right? And when I was a young kid, I remember there was a big news of two teenagers who had killed their parents in California, the Melendez brothers.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
They're from California, and the reason that they're coming up a lot in the news is because yesterday, the Los Angeles District Attorney went to court asking the judge to release them. The reason for that is because what they alleged is that the parents, especially the father, obviously, would sexually abuse the two boys and mistreat them, treat them horrible, and the mom knew about it, and the mom was like concealing it, and it was years and years and years and years of sexual abuse and physical abuse, and while the parents were sleeping, so the whole story is that the parents were sleeping, um, they were middle class to wealthy, they went in and they killed them. And when the police came and the other family came, they said, "Yeah, we did it." Um, and I remember again growing up, this had happened when I wasn't a teenager yet, but it was a very very big thing because they were teenagers and it was like known. Um, and they were both found guilty. They were thrown in jail, but the family, what I mean by the family, the uncles, the aunts, the cousins, have been fighting all these years to get them released from prison. Because they said these were two teenagers who were psychologically, physically, sexually abused for all these years by the people who are supposed to be taking care of them, the parents, and they snapped. They've been in jail now for like 30 years, and or close to it, if I'm not mistaken, and now as of yesterday, the governor of California has to decide whether he's gonna let them go or he's gonna keep them in jail. The entire family, including the brother and sister of the people who got killed, want them released because they go, yeah, my brother was a the uncle saying my brother was a horrible father, and or my sister was a horrible mother. Let them out because they were being whatever. So that's the case right now. So they both yesterday admitted, and they were saying on the news that they said, "Look, we take full responsibility. We should not have done that. That's wrong. That was a crime. Blah blah blah." But look at the circumstances.
But wasn't the way how they got caught is from spending their parents'?
They was yeah, I think they were spending some money of the parents. Yes. But the family. It was no doubt that they had killed they actually confessed to killing their parents. But the family, instead of a normal family would say, oh, they're horrible, let them rot in jail. The family has actually said, no, 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 they should be released from prison.
And everyone has that.
Correct. So I don't know what you guys think about that case.
It's interesting to me. I did not know that.
Yes, it's happening right now. It's big news. Because again, especially people like my age and older than me remember this vividly because this was all over, and it was big news.
All right, so now, before we actually explained Lopez, did you actually know him or like
No,
not actually personally? Like, had you actually found it like knew about him? Or some
No,
sort?
I didn't know anything about him.
So what we found out, what we said, is all new to you.
Correct.
That's interesting.
I've never heard of this man. Yes.
No, we know about Jeffrey Dahmer. I mean, first of all, he's probably because he's not American, right? But we know there's also other people who've done things like that I'm sure, like the Son of Sam. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He was in New York, and he was like a serial killer. And actually, he was on the news the other day too. I mean, he's dead at this point, but people were talking about him.
Right. So since we still have time, I was thinking that let's go to the debate now.
Okay.
We would talk about two people, or how I jokingly like to call them now, are the two J killers,
Okay.
Jeffrey Dahmer and Jack the Ripper,
Okay.
and see who out of the two of them are better,
Are better?
quote unquote.
What
Like what they
sense?
did, like supposedly what they did better than each other, like not
Who's
like
the better killer?
I guess, yeah. I meant like even though they're both bad.
They're both terrible people.
I meant like who did worse.
Oh, who did? I mean,
Like
Worse than like out loud.
yeah.
pretty much.
Content.
I mean,
So pretty much out of Jeffrey Dahmer and Jack the Ripper, who has more skills, or who was more skilled?
in what?
Like while they were killing, give or take.
Jeffrey Dahmer was disgusting. I mean, he would kill the people and then eat them.
That is true, but
I mean, I don't know how you could get
the
nastier
reason
than that.
why I say that because sure Jeffrey Dahmer ate their victims, but Jack the Killer also, instead of eating them, he made them have. They took their guts
Yeah.
and put them on a make sure they're actually unattached, still attached to their body, and hung them over their shoulders.
Yes, that's disgusting too.
This is why you wanted to compare them.
Oh, you were trying to say which one was more gruesome?
I guess, yeah.
Oh,
So you should have wrote that instead of saying who's more skilled.
Shush.
yes, that, yeah, yeah. Because being more skilled, I think neither one of them has skill. I think they're both crazy people. But which
People
one
like
is more
crazy.
gruesome? I think they're both equally gruesome.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I mean they're both disgusting.
I mean, supposedly, even though that they didn't really kind of caught Jack, they do have some suspects, and they do believe that the person who were Jack the Ripper, was actually a some type of surgeon who had like really bad he was like mentally crazy,
Yeah, I mean,
and
yeah, most people. I would say anybody who does things like that has to be mentally crazy.
yes.
You can't convince me otherwise.
But person who killed them actually, while he pretty much put himself in a somewhere to get quote unquote cured after he got not I guess and in a asylum or some sort. I forgot where he put himself in. The killing supposedly stopped.
I mean, so it was him then.
I don't know much about Jared.
Yeah, but that's just a conspiracy. He just had, or like pretends, or he just possibly just stopped, just by pure coincidence.
Could be.
And here's another question: out of the two of them, how much do you know about them? Like, who do you know more knowledge of?
I mean, I've seen documentaries about Jack the Ripper, and I remember again Jeffrey Dahmer. I remember because it was during when I was alive when Jeffrey Dahmer was doing what he was doing. So it was on the news when he was caught and everything, and he got killed in jail. By another prisoner. I mean, it was just he was really hated.
I mean, didn't Jack mainly just targeted women at the night?
Yes, correct.
And
In London.
yes, in London.
Yes.
And Jeffrey just mainly just supposedly he just targeted males.
Not just people.
Who, Jeffrey Dahmer?
That's what I heard.
Is that what you read about?
Not sure. It's possible. I don't remember.
That's just what I heard. That he just
Okay.
targeted males. Or ate males. I don't know. And okay. So I do remember that one day that Jack the Ripper did make a mistake, which almost got caught. But and if I remember correctly, what he made his mistake is he didn't properly cut his burst the victim's neck properly.
Mm.
So she was still alive when the cops found her
Mm.
gushing out her blood.
Mm.
And he was in a rush.
Not deep enough or like in the wrong area.
It was like over here.
Not the same area. So kind of wrong area, but still.
Like,
Mm.
and the way how he normally kills them is like slash their neck open and then take their guts out. That the guts part is what and then kills them. And she pretty much died from too much blood loss before they were able to get who he was.
Wow.
But the same day when that happened, he got another person. That was just his busiest day, give or take.
Wow.
You did not know that?
Terrible. No, terrible things.
Did you know that?
No, not that part. No, I did not know that.
That's the more you know.
Exactly.
I didn't even read the script this time.
I know.
I was supposed to.
So, since you were alive when Jeffrey Dahmer was around, did he ever actually make any mistakes?
I guess he did because he was caught.
Besides that one.
I mean, I don't believe there's such a thing as a perfect crime. I think that everybody always leaves something behind.
I mean, there are some murderers who are still out to this day that do not get caught, for example, the Zodiac Killer.
But it doesn't mean that the crime is perfect. Sometimes the science isn't caught up to that. So I'll give you an example. There's crimes that happened years ago that are being resolved today because of technology, right? DNA, whatever. So I some things aren't caught. And also think also that even if you're not caught, which I think everybody eventually gets caught, you have to live with that, which is even worse.
But speaking of technology, supposedly from what I read, is that they were actually close to figuring out who Jack the Ripper's identity was using forensics, but it all went south when a snobby cop ruined it.
Mm.
How do you ruin it?
For being a smart aleck.
Yeah, so it wasn't that the crime was perfect. It was that it was human error in taking care of it, and cracking the case.
Yes, so a police officer who was being a smart aleck, and being a snob, or not sure if I said that right word, just thought he was being too much of himself. It's like, oh, I got it. It was, but he actually ruined the case, and he.
Mm.
So yeah.
Wow.
So you should wait until you actually get the case done.
Oh, he was in charge of the case, but
Oh.
he said something wrong or did something wrong, which ruined the case.
Oh, he messed up his own case.
Yes.
Mm. All right, that's interesting.
Yes. So, obviously, I'm going to say this. Is there, from everything that we said, what's the most interesting thing you actually learned?
Today, that it's a question about whether a villain is made or born or made. I think is something that we will always think about. And that many of the people who commit crimes have had a horrible past, but that past should not serve as an excuse to commit a crime. So because you suffered, you shouldn't be making. It's not okay for you to make other people suffer. You should actually use your suffering to better society instead of making it worse.
But what still catches me off guard is that Lopez got out of jail just by $70.
It's a different country. $70 in Peru is not $70 in America.
I,
True.
How much is $70 in Peru?
Well, today is I think the same. I think
we're
I,
about to find out.
but in 1998 it was probably different.
Nowadays, it would be $257.91.
Okay.
Or,
No.
well,
wait.
that's in their currency.
Oh my god. There's a lot of currency.
You just passed it.
I gotta.
Switch it.
Yeah, I gotta go to you here. $6. Okay, there we go.
Just $19. Just $19.
Wow.
$19 here is just $70 later.
Wow. Wow.
It's just disappointing.
Correct.
That's just disappointing.
So he got out for basically, if it was here, $20.
Yes. But I'm pretty sure if that was here, he would have not gotten parole and just probably gotten either life or just death sentence.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
So that's just a bit upsetting.
Alright. Yeah. I agree. What?
It's time. So, since this is out of time,
Yes.
And basically done.
yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, so thanks again for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
So, do you mind saying what we normally say at the end?
Huh?
We're normally at the end. We say now this is for the. Now this is the legend pulled out of shadows. Do you mind saying that?
Do you have it written?
This is just another legend pulled out of
Oh,
shadows.
this is another legend pulled out of the shadows.
Yes.